The silence in the comedy club Lighthouse was deafening. The famous stage that had once hosted the greatest names in New York comedy was now empty, except for a solitary microphone under a single bluish beam of light. On the big screen, the last social media post still flickered. Tonight, only conscious humor approved by the Cultural Sensitivity Committee. Multiple overlapping laughs followed, as if dozens of people were cackling simultaneously through that one microphone. The sound was metallic, distorted, ancient, like all the problematic jokes ever censored were escaping all at once. The club's lights began flickering frantically. On the screen, the messages of approved humor transformed into a chaotic sequence of clown emojis and corrupted hashtags. Hashtag forbidden laughter. Hashtag humor is dead. Hashtag final laugh. Marcus, the security guard and a 15-year club veteran, climbed on stage to investigate. The smell of ozone and something rotten filled the air. As he approached the microphone, the laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by an even more disturbing silence. On the stage floor, a dark, viscous puddle moved as if alive, forming words for a few seconds before dissolving. They thought they could kill humor, but every censored joke freed something far worse. A broken iPad displayed the latest update from the official Conscious Humor Monitoring app. Update 6.66. All forms of humor now require prior approval from the committee. Violations will result in mandatory re-education. Headlines announced the inexplicable disappearance of 57 comedians across the country. The only common pattern: all had recently been reported for inappropriate humor. On social media, my name is Jake Sullivan, and I used to be a stand-up comedian in Boston. 15 years making people laugh, selling out comedy clubs, and even with a Netflix special in development, all destroyed in a single night when a joke about neutral pronouns and gender identification went viral on TikTok. Out of context. Of course, like everything these days, the 15-second video, recorded by someone in the audience, showed only the punchline. No one saw the 5 minutes where I contextualized the joke using my own experience with my trans sister. It didn't matter, the cancellation machine was already in motion. Within 48 hours, I lost my agent, my Netflix deal, and received more death threats than I could count. My name became a hashtag. Hashtag #CancelJakeSalin trended. Activists dug up old jokes I had made about every sensitive topic from identity politics to veganism. Each screenshot was another bullet. That's when I got the summons. Either I voluntarily enrolled in the Humor Re-Education and Social Sensitivity Program, PRHSS, or faced prosecution for comedic hate crimes, a new criminal category created after the 2023 protests. The Re-Education Center was located in a mirrored glass modernist building downtown. Healing Toxic Humor glowed in pink neon on the sign, with a disturbingly blinking smiley emoji. At reception, a woman with round glasses and purple hair, Dr. Sarah Montgomery, according to her badge, handed me an iPad with the program's terms. "Your rehabilitation starts today," she said with a smile that didn't reach her vacant eyes. "Here at PRHSS, we believe humor can be fun without being harmful. We'll help you discover your truly inclusive comedic voice." With every paragraph I read, I felt a growing weight in my stomach. Complete renunciation of rights to previous comedic material. Commitment to reclassify problematic content. Authorization for behavioral modification, using approved techniques. At the end, there was a list of banned topics so long, it would have been easier to list what was still allowed. When I signed the last page, the building's lights flickered for a second. I swore I heard distant laughter, as if the walls were mocking me. Dr. Montgomery smiled again, this time showing too many teeth. "Welcome to your new beginning, Mr. Sullivan. Remember, we do not tolerate intolerance here." She paused dramatically before adding, "And trust me, we know when someone is only pretending to have learned their lesson." Motivational posters on the walls read things like "Conscious laughter is permanent laughter," and "Your joke is your responsibility." Somewhere in the building, I heard that distant laughter again. I didn't know it yet, But that would be the last day I would truly laugh. The first sessions with Clara felt like a dystopian nightmare held back just enough to appear civilized. The AI analyzed every joke in my repertoire, categorizing them on a scale from mild microaggression to extreme verbal violence. But then, things started to get truly disturbing. In the second week, during the analysis of a joke about pronouns, the room's lights began flickering in a strange pattern. At first, I thought it was just an electrical issue, until I realized the flickers matched the rhythm of laughter. My iPad started bleeding black ink from its edges, forming patterns that looked like screaming faces. That's when I met other comedians in rehabilitation. Thomas, who used to do political humor, now seemed like an empty shell of himself. I found out jokes about carrots are safer, he repeated, with an artificial smile. Sarah, once known for her biting acidic humor, now spoke only in whispers and refused to make eye contact. They're always watching, she murmured, waiting for someone to laugh the wrong way. After an especially intense session where Clara forced me to dismantle a joke about gender identity, I found an anonymous note in my locker. Jokes don't die. They transform. That same night, I started hearing laughter in the ventilation, ducts, not joyful laughter, but distorted sounds that seemed like a mix of hysterical giggling and screams of pain. During group sessions, I noticed a disturbing pattern. Every rehabilitated comedian seemed to lose more than just their sense of humor. It was as if part of their humanity had been extracted, along with their problematic jokes. Their eyes had a strange glow, almost phosphorescent under certain lights. The program's coordinator, Dr. Martinez, always wore a strange brooch, a laughing emoji, made of dark metal that seemed to pulse. During one session, I swore the brooch winked at me. After that, I started noticing that all the senior staff wore the same brooch, and they all had the same empty smile. While investigating files in the basement, which, oddly, had no security, I discovered disturbing documents. The controlled laughter project of the 1950s wasn't about social control, it was about containment. Apparently, there is something very old that feeds on forbidden laughter, censored jokes, and repressed humor. The report spoke of entities that thrive on the boundary between laughter and screams. The security cameras always seemed to turn the other way when I passed. The bathroom mirrors showed reflections that moved half a second late. And the most disturbing part, I realized I couldn't remember the last time I had laughed naturally. In the 6th week, I found an old journal from a former participant in the program. The last pages contained a chilling revelation: the true purpose of humor. Censorship wasn't to protect people from offense, it was to protect reality itself from something that feeds on forbidden laughter. Every censored joke, every silenced comedian, every cancelled show was an offering to keep these entities satisfied. The final entry of the journal ended with a sentence that froze my blood. They don't want us to stop laughing because laughter hurts. They want us to stop because true laughter, free and uncontrollable, is the only thing that can still hurt them. Toxic humor levels reaching critical limits. They were like black holes made of forbidden punchlines and repressed laughter, each echoing with the voices of comedians who had been re-educated over the years. That's when Dr. Martinez burst into the room, her laughing emoji brooch pulsing with an intense red light. "You don't understand what you've done," she shouted, her usually controlled face now twisted in genuine panic. "Every offensive joke we classify isn't deleted, it's transformed. They need to go somewhere. It's about containment. It always was." Their bodies contorted at impossible angles, each movement accompanied by the sound of hysterical laughter. "Political correctness is our modern prison for them," Dr. Martinez explained, her voice trembling. "Every time we label a joke as problematic, we're not protecting people from offense, we're feeding the entities, keeping them satisfied and contained within the realm of approved humor." The screens exploded in a cascade of glass and electricity. In the chaos, I saw something emerge from the fragments, shapes made of pure darkness that somehow emanated light. "They are the primordials of laughter," Thomas whispered, his smile now literally cracking his face. The first jokes, the cruelest ones, the ones that made gods cackle while civilizations burned. And now, thanks to your resistance to re-education, they are free again. The irony is palpable. A system designed to combat offensive humor ended up creating monsters far more terrifying than any joke ever told. Last week, I received a new group. Among them was a comedian who had been cancelled for making jokes about her own weight. Internalized fat phobia, they said. While she labeled her jokes as problematic, I could see the shadows on the walls growing denser, hungrier. Every act of self-censorship fed something far beyond our comprehension. The worst part is that the entities are evolving. They no longer content themselves with offensive jokes. They now want any form of expression that challenges the approved narrative. At the last monitors meeting, I learned that similar centers are opening for writers, artists, musicians, anyone who dares question the dominant narrative. Thomas, my former colleague in the program, now oversees the West Wing. His permanently frozen smile has taken on a near-liquid quality, as though it's melting. Yesterday, I caught him speaking to his reflection in the mirror, but the reflection was laughing while he remained dead serious. Old files I found revealed something even more disturbing. The entities have always existed, feeding on humanity's forbidden joy. Every cultural taboo, every unspeakable topic throughout history served as a prison for them. But now, with so much content actively repressed in the name of social sensitivity, they are becoming stronger than ever. Late one night, while filing behavioral progress reports, I heard laughter coming from the therapy room. Not normal human laughter, but a twisted caricature of amusement. When I entered the room, I saw every iPad turned on, looping videos of people apologizing for past jokes. On each screen, the remorseful faces occasionally flickered, revealing something monstrous, hiding beneath the contrite expressions. I began to notice sinister patterns in the records. The more socially conscious someone became, the emptier their personality file appeared. It was as if each corrected thought took with it a fragment of their soul. And the most terrifying revelation of all, the entities are not invaders, they are manifestations of our own repressed ability to question, provoke, and laugh. Every censored joke, every silenced thought, every controlled expression empowers these creatures that we ourselves have created. The laughter I now hear in the walls is no longer distant or alien, it is disturbingly familiar. It is the collective sound of millions of silenced voices, distorted into something monstrous by the force of repression. Last week, a message appeared, scratched into my desk. Soon, we won't need jokes anymore. The whole world will be one big joke. And everyone will laugh in unison, with the same voice, at the same approved things. Now I ask myself, are we really protecting people from offensive content? Or are we feeding something much darker with every thought we force ourselves to silence? Perhaps the real horror isn't what we say, but what we are forced to stop saying. Note: this file was found on Jake Sullivan's iPad after his disappearance from the Boston Humor Re-Education Center in 2024. The last images from the security cameras show him laughing uncontrollably, while his body appeared to dissolve into the shadows. The case remains under investigation.